This is part 2 of the story of me, and I have selected this picture of me with my chickens. And from looking at the story of me that I've told so far, it looks like I've had a pretty good life, right? I'm got a nice farm, I had a nice job, a couple of mishaps here and there, a seizure. I have a wonderful dog, I have a great friend and an awesome nephew. What you can't tell from the story of me, part 1, is that in this image where I am hugging my chickens, I'm smiling, I seem very happy, I was at the height of a mental breakdown and on the verge of killing myself. And I apologize for the language. I've added a trigger warning just in case. But depression doesn't always look like someone shuffling around in a bathrobe with dirty hair who's crying and hasn't showered and hasn't eaten. Depression can be hidden really well, especially in our society. There's kind of a stigma around it. And even in the pictures where I'm smiling with my nephew, even in the pictures where I was feeling kind of good about myself in that moment. So I took a selfie, because I had a little bit of self-esteem at that point. That was still in 2016 at the height of my mental breakdown and at the height of suicidality. I hadn't made a plan, but I was close. I was very close. I had some ideas in my head. I just hadn't solidified how I was going to do it. And you would not know that from looking at the pictures of me. The black eye that I had in 2018 that I showed from the seizure was from a medication that my doctor tried, hoping to ease some of my depression, some of the severe fatigue that comes from my depression. Sometimes just getting up to shower can be too much for me. Even medicated, I still struggle with very severe fatigue. That selfie that I took, I probably days before was sitting in that parking lot in my car on my lunch break from work, sobbing my eyes out because I just wanted to die. It was a very hard time. My message is, if you suspect something in your loved one, ask them. It's not going to make them worse. They're not going to commit suicide because you've asked them. They may get mad, they may get upset, they may deny it. But I can tell you from someone who's been there, from my perspective, when people asked me, it was almost a wake-up call, as if like, I've gotten bad enough that I can't hide this anymore. People know, they're aware, they're noticing changes in me. And even if I didn't talk to them right then, the fact that they reached out and asked me made me feel like if I needed to talk to someone, that was who I was going to go to. If I decided to, want help, because no one wants to kill themselves, even people who are suicidal. I can promise you that. What they want is to escape their pain. They want to escape whatever it is that is causing them trauma in their life. And they feel that suicide is their only answer, that ending their life is the only thing that's going to end their pain. Even after getting my beagle Calvin, who was so important to me, I was still experiencing suicidal ideation, because in those moments, the things that were important to me were a million miles away in my brain. I could not bring them to my mind for anything. They were just gone. I could not, it just wasn't there. And telling people to get out in the sunshine or eat better or exercise, these are things that are unhelpful. Yes, it might help, but for me, if that was something that I could do, I would have done it a long time ago. If it was something that would have worked, I would have done it a long time ago. They were very obvious suggestions, and it just wasn't something that was in my reach. The extreme fatigue was almost a circle effect of I was too tired to cook, so I would eat junk food, which would make me more tired, which would mean I couldn't cook the next meal. It was an endless circle. So telling people to eat healthy isn't helpful. Offering to go to a healthier restaurant with them, offering to have dinner one night at their house and bringing something, that could be helpful. I would also say that if someone gets upset with you when you ask them if they're depressed or if they're suicidal, it's very scary. It's a very scary place to be in. You think people are going to judge you. You think people are going to assume you're doing it for attention. And the thought of trying to go get help, especially for me, was terrifying. I was afraid I was going to be dismissed, that people wouldn't believe me when I told them what I was experiencing, and that I would be on my own, that my, sort of my last hope for getting out of this mentality and this state would be snatched away. So just the very idea of seeking help can be terrifying, because if you don't get help, then that really is it for you. You feel you've been abandoned even more than you already were. For me, things like going outside, because of the physical components of my depression, when a normal person without depression goes outside in the sun, your brain releases serotonin, which makes you feel happy. It releases dopamine, which is increasing that happy. It's a reward mechanism. And for depression, for me, my brain did not release those things when I would go in the sunshine, when I would do something fun, when I would go with my family or my friends, or my brain was not releasing those chemicals to create happiness and reward in my life. I require a medication, an SSRI like Prozac, just to even attempt to feel normal. Even with the medication, I still feel fatigued. I still struggle to hold off my depression. It's almost like giving me a stick to fight a dragon. It helps. It's not perfect. It takes multiple attempts sometimes to get the right medication, which can feel like a process that is never going to succeed. It was 2016 when I finally started to, seek help for my depression. And I've been through 4 medications since then, trying to find one that helped. The first one was not a good fit for my body, and I ended up with an intense panic attack. The second one worked, but only for about a year. After that, my body adjusted to it, and I ended up right back where I was. The third one is the medication that ended up giving me the seizure and the black eye. And so that was not a good fit. I'm on number 4 right now, and I've been on it about 6 months, but I just had to increase the dose last month because it wasn't enough. There's always that fear in the back of my mind that this medication isn't going to work for long, the same as the Prozac, the second one, that my body will adjust to it. I'll end up on the max dose, still not being where I need to be, and I'm going to have to try another medication. Depression is hard, and it never goes away if you're someone like me. And my message is, even though your friends, your family may be posting, images of them smiling, images of them laughing, they seem happy. Depression doesn't always look like someone in a bathrobe with dirty hair and tears on their face. Sometimes it can look like a girl sitting in her chicken pen, smiling and taking a picture of herself. You just never know what someone's internal state is. So if you suspect that someone is depressed or is suicidal, ask them. I promise you, even if they respond negatively, their impression of you inside their head is going to improve, and you will have become someone reliable in their life, that they're considering, even in the slightest bit, that you might take them seriously. And I just ask that you don't belittle them, you don't try to give them any advice. Just ask them, hey, are you okay? Maybe they'll open up to you. And if someone had done that for me, maybe I wouldn't have spent the majority of my life suffering in silence. So ask.